Hello, I'm coming to you today in my Japanese kitchen apron, a gift from a student of mine who had lived in Japan for 30 years. These Japanese aprons are really wonderful because they cover much more of your upper body than American aprons normally do. So I love it. It takes all the splatters and all the drippings, and they don't get on my clothes. But that's not why I'm talking to you right now. I wear the apron because I wear many hats here at Mountain Gate, including kitchen work. I love to cook, but that's not the whole thing. I also clean up the kitchen and various other things. Whatever has to be done in the kitchen, I'm ready to do it. I wanted to say something about an emergency situation that we encountered about 2 years ago. It was a shock when a surveyor knocked on our door and announced that he would like to be able to be given permission to walk on our property to continue the survey for a neighbor. And he said, "It's bad news." We invited him in and he detailed it. It turns out that one of our neighbors, not a near neighbor, but on the other hand, this is such a small community that I think everybody is a near neighbor. He had bought a piece of property a few years earlier from someone who was the widow of someone who had lived in and born and raised in Osaka. And it purported to say that he now owned almost half of Mountain Gate's property, including our main buildings, septic system, gardens, vegetable gardens, and so on, and the solar collectors that feed our underfloor heating. As I said, it was a big shock. Initially, I made a claim to the title insurance, but after a year, they threw up their hands and said, "It's too complicated." It should be noted that in northern New Mexico and southern Colorado, and probably a lot of other places in the Southwest, it was quite common for properties to change hands with a handshake and not get recorded to the county. And that's one reason why this has happened, because there was a hole. And on top of that, everyone who had anything to do with this piece of property had died, including the person who owned it before the people who sold it to us. He died just a few weeks before, just a few days before we had this shock. So we were forced to hire a trial lawyer and get to work. Over time, because this lawyer was very, very excellent, we ended up with a settlement that was not anywhere near as high as what most people told us it would have ordinarily been. But still, for us, it was quite high. We're a very small sangha, dedicated sangha, utterly dedicated sangha. And we have sessions, 7-day sessions, every month of the year, including, in addition, zazen kais, which are what we call all-day sittings, and the options for residential practice. And we put out a newsletter. It's not a newsletter. It's a journal, really. It has more articles than news. And by the way, if you would like to get a free subscription to this digital-only journal, you can request it through our website. There's a contact us indication on the website, and I believe it should still work. And you can just give your name, a little bit about yourself, because we'd love to know, and request that you receive a subscription to the Mountain Gate Journal. You'll need to leave the preferred email address that you want to use, and also we would need your name. And we need that statement that you want to receive it, because otherwise we can't really do it for you. But it's available and it's free. At any rate, we had to do an emergency fundraising, and thankfully the generosity of people was just so heartwarming, so mind-boggling. We were able to cover the cost of the lawyer and the cost of the settlement fee. It was a settlement agreement. And as I said, lawyer friends of ours have said that we were so lucky to have it so low, because ordinarily it could have cost us $75,000 to get our own property back. That would have cleaned out Mountain Gate. We would have probably had to shutter our process and move somewhere else, because we would not have been able to handle that. But we did, thanks to the generosity of everyone. But that was an emergency fund drive. Still, at the same time, every year we need to fundraise to bring in enough money that we can survive for another year. None of us here at Mountain Gate, including our members who are in other states or even in other countries, have much money. And so this is what we do. Now, for a while, one of my high school classmates wanted to support our work. And for years, he gave about $15,000 a year, which was extraordinary. He also died a couple of years ago and left us a little bit in his will. It was more than $15,000, but it was not enough to pay for a whole year of Mountain Gate's expenses. Nonetheless, it was wonderful. He was so generous. But now we don't have anything like that, except that there is an anonymous donor who has suggested that they would like to match up to $10,000 worth of donations to Mountain Gate in our Giving Tuesday fund plea. And so those of you who are inspired to help support this program that we give, these many programs that we give, if you're up front fast, you can get your donation matched, so you will actually be giving twice as much as what you actually physically give. At any rate, we are most grateful for everyone who considers offering support to Mountain Gate for the 2026 year, and we thank you from the bottoms of our hearts.